Well, Adam Baron is a visiting fellow at the European Council on Foreign Relations. He joins us now live from Vienna. Hi, Adam. First, tell us more about this expected ceasefire. Do you expect it to be implemented and to hold, and will it make a qualitative difference in the lives of Yemeni civilians there?
I think it remains to be seen. Based on the remarks of Secretary John Kerry and I believe the Omani government as well, it's supposed to go into effect tonight. I see no sign of any sort of progress towards lessening of the conflict. That being said, what appears to happen based off of the diplomatics that have been made is we're going to see something along the lines of a ceasefire on the Saudi-Yemeni border, along the lines of what happened earlier this year in April. While you're going to see hopefully a gradual lessening of violence in the rest of the country, but much of that hinges on, one, agreements between internal Yemeni factions, and two, the implementation and the reintroduction of these de-escalation committees, which is going to be a very thorny process. And particularly with fighting flaring the way it's been in Yemen's third largest city, Taiz, it remains to be seen whether we're going to see a substantial amount of calm coming in if the ceasefire goes into effect, and that remains a big if.
And what do you make of this latest Human Rights Watch report citing alleged abuses committed by Houthi rebels?
I mean, there's no question that all sides in this conflict have committed various abuses. Since the Houthis managed to seize power of Sana'a, they've certainly ruled with a very heavy hand. There's been a great degree of arbitrary detentions, and as the Human Rights Watch report attests, there have been reports, claims of torture. It's ironic for the Houthis, particularly as a group that was the victim, whose leaders were such victims of political repression and arbitrary detention, and indeed torture and summary killings themselves. But I think a lot of this, when it comes down to it, whether what you're seeing on the part of the Houthis or what you're seeing in the rest of the country, really is a product of this absolute collapse of the Yemeni state, this collapse of Yemen into fragmentation, into what some analysts have referred to as a chaos state. And in the absence of some sort of steps towards ending the conflict, I think you're just going to see these continuing abuses, this continuing chaos across Yemen.
Then how or when, if ever, do you envision this conflict being resolved?
I think we have seen very strong steps by Secretary aimed at ending the conflict. You've seen this shuttle diplomacy where it really seems like for the first time, I think in years, you have Secretary Kerry devoting a large amount of his time to Yemen, whether he's been doing that in Muscat, he's currently in Abu Dhabi. And I think there is this extent that the United States, in partnership with its allies in Muscat, could be able to bring both sides together to some sort of agreement. There have been signs that the Saudis are on board with this. There have been signs that the Emiratis are on board with this. The Houthis and former President Saleh have both issued statements saying they support this peace deal. The question is whether the internationally recognized government will sign up to this. In their statements, the internationally recognized government has basically asserted that, one, all of what's been said is meaningless to them, and two, that they see no need to compromise. They claim that they have international and internal legitimacy, and that they're fine with continuing to wage the war because they feel like the Houthis must be, decisively defeated.
Okay.
It remains to see whether that's advisable or even possible, of course.
Okay, Adam Baron, thank you so much for joining us there live from Vienna.